Hi, this is Behind the Curtain. I'm Betsy Jordan. Welcome. Some of you have seen me recommend this book before, Prisoners of Geography. It is by Tim Marshall, and I want to just give you Tim's background a little bit. Let's see. He is a former foreign correspondent for Britain's Sky News Network television. He's a leading authority on foreign affairs and has reported from 30 countries, including 6 war zones. More recently, he covered what he considered to be the misnamed Arab Spring, reporting from Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Lebanon, and Syria. After 25 years of frontline journalism, he now edits the website, thewhatandthewhy.com, and lives in London. So just so you know, I pull my information from a lot of different places, as a lot of you do, whether you realize it or not. The information that you're taking in is coming from a lot of different places. So, but I wanted to understand how geography plays a part in migratory patterns of people, human beings, in influences, cultural influences, and also he writes specifically about why certain areas will not be conflict areas because they can be easily defended or not easily pursued. So you don't see a lot of people attacking Russia. You'll see Russia attacking other people because they are protected by you'd have to have long supply chains to get to Moscow and to get into Russia. You won't see Russia being taken over anytime soon. The Ukraine and Russia, the North European plain, is what Putin seems to be after. Okay? Now, I am looking back at this bigger picture, right? And also from an historic perspective. The Soviet Union, some of you who are watching this may not remember that the Soviet Union fell, or basically dissolved, was redefined, repurposed under Gorbachev. I think it was Boris Yeltsin that ended up being a person that we found that we couldn't deal with, or our administration was having trouble with. We don't know what was behind the scenes, but his successor, we helped put into office, which is Putin, right? But Putin was in the CIA, and even though the Soviet Union was disbanded, the KGB was not. Okay, so he was involved in intelligence at the time that the Soviet Union fell. And Putin has never forgiven the United States for our involvement in that, and in fact won't. I mean, we shouldn't expect him to. But he's also never forgiven Yeltsin and Gorbachev for putting up with that. So his aim is to get that territory back. Now, okay, understand something else. The Russian government, while Putin is in charge of the executive branch, which has the authority over the democratic government, right? So the legislature is democratic, but the executive branch is over all of that in a way of authoritarian government. So while he's President Putin, he doesn't have, it's not the same checks and balances as we have in America today, which those supporting the other guy in our presidential election want to have. They want to have a government like Putin's. But see, Trump is manipulated by Putin, okay, easily, and I'll get back to that in a sec. But the Russian game plan under Putin's government, now Putin had to get people to toe the line. So his first term, he was kind of, good for the people. And then he began to kill people who disagreed with him, just off with their heads, so to speak. So for those of you, I don't know if you can see this, but this book is really a wonderful book. It shows how geography shapes not just history, but destiny. And Tim Marshall calls this book 10 Maps That Explain Everything About the World. Well, I don't know about that, but let's go with it, right? Let's say that Russia wants access to as much waterfront as they can possibly have. And let's say that they want access to Europe, right? And so NATO aligned, the NATO forces aligned, and they are helping the Ukraine. And Ukraine this week, or maybe even today, I expect to see Zelensky, President Zelensky, requesting NATO membership. I'm not sure if that's today or when that is, but it's sometime within this week. that you'll see more action on that if you stay tuned. So Russia, the line here divides Russia from the rest of the European plain, and Ukraine being the largest property here. Once they do that, it's like a gateway drug for Putin. He will try to move on in and go into certainly Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus. You got it. So don't expect that this war with Ukraine to be something he's going to give up on. We have to hold the line. And we have to hold the line because Putin does not like America, period. And so let me get back to how they manipulate Donald Trump. Donald Trump is what they call a useful idiot. And that's a Russian term which is used to talk about egotistical businessmen who can be easily manipulated by their ego, right? So that's what that term means. And that is how they consider him. So that is how, when he's talking to these autocrats and saying, you know, I can talk to them, nobody else can talk to them, it needs to be understood also from a psychological perspective that they're a lot like his father, okay? Now, this was part 2 about Russia and Ukraine, and you can see the geographical thing, and that the Soviet Union plays into this, and that we helped Putin to become elected, but now, you know, Putin is definitely not our friend, and he never was. There was Russian interference with our election. In part 1, I talked about how the president did give our secrets to Russia. And now I'll get into part 3. But I appreciate you being here. This was Behind the Curtain IMO.